to catch, but thanks for sticking around. This is breakthrough new technology. This is a first to the world, so hopefully we have something exciting to share for you guys. So I'm Bert, this is Boon Chong. We're with Aerobiome based in Singapore. Singapore is our headquarters. We also have an entity in Belgium. We're already expanding worldwide. What we feel passionate about is a new generation of microbiome management. And in this short seminar, we'll talk about how we do that and why we feel we're totally breakthrough and the better alternative to existing solutions in the market. Right? Based in Singapore, we truly believe that we can change the world. Right? We are experience-based, starting with a more personal experience, making sure that our family was well taken care of, and that's where the invention to take something that was inspired by nature, inspired by phages, was turned into a new engineered solution to really manage microbiomes in a much more precise way, in the absence of any negatives, in the absence of any side effects. And obviously, when we made this presentation, we knew we were nominated, but at this point in time, we're the gold winner. So we're absolutely excited, we're absolutely very, very proud to have come out on top and really show that a novel generation of biotech-based active ingredients are well recognized by an independent body of industry experts, and that we do better than the typical, more chemically oriented alternatives. Right? And this is literally first class. Right? When people ask us which of the brands is already using your products, we say, well, we're too new for other brands already to use us. But I can tell you we're speccing in to be able to launch with all the big boys and a lot of the smaller boys in the world in personal care. So the traction that we're getting for the first generation of technically and clinically proven microbiome management technologies is really picking off. We've already been shortlisted some time ago, but obviously this is the recognition here in Cosmetics Asia that we're most proud of. And this is part of the problem, right? As most of you guys will know, it is typical antimicrobial components and antibiotics that are widely used for managing certain type of skin conditions, but also gut, also surface care, air care. Antimicrobials are everywhere. But these are causing issues, and they're not in line with consumer trends anymore. And we see that, for example, for aluminum-based deodorants, many consumers are already avoiding them. Acne sufferers, they're not happy with the skin treatments that they can get because it causes irritation, it causes very slow results. And for example, intimate feminine care products, there's a lot of harsh chemicals in there that also people don't want to use anymore. So there must be a better way to do that, because these chemicals, they cause skin issues and people are just not happy with anymore. And if we look what's happening in the market, right, there are very clear trends. And these are not future trends, these are not long-term mega trends, these are actually more micro trends that are happening right now and changing the trends in formulation and in beauty care brands, what consumers are looking for. Clean and ingredient transparency in beauty basically means safe ingredients, ingredients that I know where they come from, I can trace their origin and really fact check them. Microbiome friendly, because people are starting to understand how important microbiomes are on skin, in mouth, in the gut, in wider surfaces, so it needs to be friendly there. Less is more. Like, why would you want to read a 35 ingredient label when you can get the same benefits, safer and more with fewer ingredients? Actually, the ingredients that you would see in our booth and in the innovation zone are high-end formulations with 4 ingredients, and Boon Chong, our CTO, will tell you about that a little bit more later. And then sustainable and conscious beauty. Sustainability is important. Why would we bring a chemically synthesized petrochemical-based ingredient to the market when we can do it with precision fermentation, with much more sustainable, better profiles, right? We're even at a point that we can offer carbon credits to the companies that we work with simply because we're so sustainable. And this is the basis of our technology, right? We have a precision-based technology where we target the wanted bad bacteria only. Antimicrobials kill everything in its path. But we have a technology approach, and Boon Chong will take you through how that more precisely works, that only targets the bacteria that cause, in one case, body odor, and in the other case, acne. And that basically means that we don't create skin barrier damage that leads to irritation and redness and inflammation. We have the most gentle approach possible in removing unwanted bacteria that cause these acne and body odor indications. So that's a whole different paradigm in skincare, where we remove the bad and we maintain what is good and actually better what is good to rebalance this to a better, more natural state. So the outcome is even better. So what we here have is a quick overview of what you're used to, the conventional antimicrobials, right? And as you know, broad specificity, moderately active, and all the side effects that we kind of well know already. In the space of the pre, post, and probiotics, this is something that is very, very trendy as well in a lot of conferences. So there's a lot of these activities that we can add to the skin microbiome, but typically those are very indirect. The benefits might not be 100% specific and inconsistent. For sure, they're very gentle on skin, that we have to grant them, but also in terms of clinical proof, not exactly there, and defensibility in terms of IP and intellectual property, not too much as well. Whereas on our side, as we already mentioned, highly selective, very gentle, clinically proven, very safe, and obviously we've got a very strong and growing IP portfolio because we have engineered chimeric proteins for which we can file new IP. And this IP is broadening from the mother patents on the technology itself to the methods to manufacture them, going into how to actually formulate them in the best possible way. So that IP portfolio is definitely there, and that also sets us apart to any other of the other activities. And I'll hand it over to Buncho, who's actually the inventor of the entire platform.
All right, thank you. All right, so today is my great pleasure to kind of walk you through the two platform technology that powers AeroBiome. Right, so each of the platform technology generates our flagship product. Right, so for the case of Archer, we generate ArcherZyme. That's the award-winning active ingredients. So it's about precision. It's an enzyme that specifically targets the outer cell wall of the bacteria, binds to it, and chew them up. Right, so I almost like to describe that as a bacteria like a balloon, and our enzyme is like a needle. Right, so just pop the balloon, pop the bacteria like a balloon. It'll just open up. That's partly because there's three very good features about this enzyme. One is that it acts very quickly. In vitro, in the lab, we saw that in 10 minutes time, we can eradicate 90%, more than 90% of the bacteria. So you can start with a very turbid solutions in 10 minutes to 20 minutes time, the entire tube will become clear. So this is very fast. Right? And typically for things that act so fast, you also expect them to act on everything. Right? So not for our case. As Bert has mentioned, it's highly selective. It only targets the bacteria that we want to target. Right? And this is something that is rare, and that makes our technology unique. And third, but definitely not least, is the bacterial find it very difficult to develop resistance against it because it acts so fast, acts on a very conserved area of the bacteria, and bacteria just have no chance when it comes to developing any type of resistance. Right? So these are, again, engineered licensed. They are phage-derived, phage-inspired, and then we put through our engineering platform to engineer such that it targets the bacteria that we want to target. Right? So again, it's the world's first clinically proven license for body odor. In terms of patents, we have the mother patent is a MIT patent, because when I invented the technology, I was with the Singapore MIT Alliance, and part of the deal is that everything I invented belongs to MIT. But we've since exclusively licensed those technology into AeroBiome. And since then, we also generated our own wholly owned IP. And second, which is, I will argue, equally more exciting, if not more exciting, is the Smart Aero technology. So it's come out from a Forge platform. So it's a highly versatile platform, highly modular and versatile, because we can have a particle that can load any kinds of things, and we will coat it with a targeting proteins. Right? So for the case of Smart Aero for acne, we designed the targeting proteins to only target Cutibacterium acnes. That's only targeting acne. That causes acne, right? Then for the particle itself, it is empty. It doesn't have any chemical actives, right? Obviously, you can have the options to load in active ingredients. That's why we call it to be Smart Aero Plus, and then you can create like a dual effect. But on its own, even without chemical actives, with just the particle loaded with the protein, it has a mechanism that just hasn't been seen before. It's first in class, right? So how it works is that targeting proteins will find the bacteria, find the bacterial biofilm, clumps them up, such that you can rinse them off after 30 minutes, right? So it's a mechanical way of removing biofilm. And biofilm is known to be very stubborn to remove. You can use antibiotics, you can use all kinds of harsh chemicals. Some biofilm is just so stubborn, just impossible to get rid of using chemical methods. In this case, we use mechanical methods to physically clump them up, right? And when they clumped up, those bacteria are still alive. Then you rinse them off. So it's just a special, really, really special mechanism, right? And for that, we have filed 2 IPs on this. The real, I mean, another strength of our ingredients is that it allows us to do minimal formulation, right? It's also a trend in the industry, and people don't want to just have more and more ingredients. Like, how can we get more? Like, how can we make it simpler, right? One way is to create a really good active ingredient, such that you introduce one active ingredient to go in, and then you remove a lot more ingredients out, right? Then that's how you can reduce from a 35 ingredient into 4 ingredient. All right. So I would like to cover Smart Arrow first. It's the first clinically proven microbiome-friendly acne solution, right? So I was kind of explaining most of it already. It's a polymeric particle to start with, then with our engineered targeting proteins to specifically fuse on it, right? So we have done extensive studies in the lab, in vitro studies, ex vivo studies, ex vivo referring to the skin tissue model. So we can literally see the biofilm being clumped up, right? So this, I hope that the laser pointer is big enough, right? So this is the skin tissue over here, the different layers of skin tissue. And over here is the biofilm, the bacterial biofilm. So after we apply on it, you can literally see the biofilm being clumped up. Right? So that once it's clumped up, that's lift off, and with the simple rinse, you can remove it. Right? So this is the mechanism. And then the next question there, does it work in human? Does it work in vivo? Right? And not surprisingly, the answer is yes. Right? So in the 4-week in vitro study, we saw a 40% reduction in the number of pustules. It also has effect on the comedones and the papules, the different states of the acne. And in terms of redness, it also reduced by 55%, swelling reduced by 35%. So all of this without using any type of chemical ingredients in 4 weeks' time. Right? If you look around for the active ingredients, some ingredients, most ingredients, they need 8 to 12 weeks to really see a visible change, right? And we can achieve it in 4 weeks' time. Right? And it's extremely safe. We have done in vitro tests and the skin patch test to show that it's really no irritation, no dry skin at all. Right? I always say that seeing is believing. Right? So you can actually see from the patients. Right? So there's acne, and after 4 weeks, there's no acne marks anymore. And over here, you see it's pretty much across the board. So we just pick a few that have very big papules and show you that they just go away after 4 weeks. And all the consumer actually agree. And all the users, they actually agree. And more than 94% notice the pores have tightening, and skin is smooth, and they just literally get to see less red bumps, right? Because the redness has reduced as well. And importantly, none of them experience dry skin, which is something that's totally expected because there's no chemical active at all. Then I quickly switch gear to Archerzyme, which is our award-winning active ingredients. Right? Again, it's the world's first clinically proven lysine for body odor control. So over here, we need a very low dose of 0.01%, right? Because it's the biotech ingredient, typically we expect them to be really efficient, so 0.01%. Again, it's safe. It's done through the same in vitro and in vivo tests. It's very fast. So if you look at the rate of reduction, if you think about it, both of them, the smelly bacteria is Staphylococcus hominis, which is the blue curves. The black one is the good bacteria, Staph epidermidis. Right? So you can see it's selectively targeting the smelly bacteria. It reduces very quickly, and by half an hour's time, it's pretty much go down to baseline. Whereas for the good bacteria, including Staphylococcus epidermidis, there's a minimal effect. So we also done the microbial sequencing to measure the level of Staph hominis, Staph epidermidis, Corynebacterium, Cutibacterium, right? So the one that really got affected in a lasting manner is Staph hominis, right? And not sure whether I have this. Oh, I think the next slide should be the graph. Yeah, so this is our clinical studies that shows, literally we formulated in a very simple formulation with just 50% glycerol, apply it on the armpit. So we have one, so because everyone has two armpits, we apply Argizyme on one armpit, then the other armpit we don't apply anything, and then we ask the lucky professional sniffers to smell them and then rate them, right, from 0 to 10. Right? So over here you see within 2 hours there's a 60% reduction in odor, and more interestingly, after 24 hours, we can see that the baseline odor is still quite low, and the interesting thing is the microbiome is being rebalanced. We start to see the sign of the relative abundance of Staph hominis versus Staph epidermidis. There are more epidermidis, right? So even with just a single application, you start to see the microbiome being rebalanced, right? And you can imagine if you just apply it for a few more times, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you kind of naturally will smell better and better. And at some point, you just need to have a maintenance dose of Argizyme, then you are set for life. And just keep buying from us. Right, so the consumer loves it. All the subjects notice rapid odor control, and everyone wants to buy products that contains Argizyme. Right, so this one again is the one that to just summarize it, why we need this approach, right? And the power of minimal formulation. Right, so this is for Smart Arrow. In fact, for the reference formulation that we developed for both Smart Arrow and Argizyme, only contain 4 ingredients. Only 4 is all you need. Right? You don't need 35 ingredients. So this is literally one of the products that that my wife uses, and I check it out, and then to my horror, it's like, what? And I literally spend a few minutes to count how many ingredients are there. So it's 35. So this allows us to streamline the formulation and just simplify compliance in general. Right? You don't have to worry about too many things. You just need to worry about 4 things. It reduces the cost, and just the procurement is also easier in terms of any unknown risk that you may run from the cross interaction between any of the 2 ingredients from the 35 ingredients. Right? And it's definitely sustainable. Less materials needed and less waste, because as you use so many ingredients, every step along the way you'll have waste, right? So having such a powerful ingredients really, it's like one ingredient does the job of multiple ingredients. One in, many can come out, right? So with this, that's what I can cover, and then I'll pass it back to you. So for formulation wise, it's quite robust. You can formulate it in terms of roll-on, spray, mask, gel mask, lotion, water-free, water-based, dry powder. It's pretty flexible, right? There's excellent stability in water-free formulation, and the shelf life is up to 2 years. And manufacturing wise, we have global networks of contract manufacturers that's ready to fulfill commercial orders from today. With that, I'll pass another important point about sustainability back to Bert.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was mentioned, right? We are truly sustainable, and sometimes I have jokingly say we're manufacturing our products like we're manufacturing beer. I'm Belgian, so beer is really important for me. But this is based on precision fermentation, right? In bioreactors, we manufacture the protein, and from a sustainability profile that is so much more efficient in terms of use of renewable materials, energy use, water use, biodegradability of proteins in the environment, than what we would see with chemically synthesized bioactive ingredients. salicylic acids, BPOs, whatever have you. So part of the assessment that we're doing is what are sustainability benefits that we can pass along to the brands that formulate with our ingredients. So what we're starting to see is significantly less water that is being used throughout the entire manufacturing process. We see much higher efficiency of energy usage. In the end, biofermentation at a 35 to 40 degrees is so much more efficient than chemical synthesis processes over multiple steps to get to the end actives. Net zero commitments is something that we're already calculating and see if we can pass on carbon credits to brands that we could potentially collaborate with. Biodegradable, there is no plastics, there is no harsh lifetime chemicals. It is protein that will degrade over time. The particle that Boonchung was referring to is a polylactic acid particle, fully biodegradable, so we don't have any residual chemicals that are being released in the environment. And on top, at a 0.01% concentration of active ingredient, we use very little material to begin with. So overall, super sustainable. And obviously, we're ready to go, right? We're a biotech company. We're still a relatively young company, but we're commercially mature, right? So we're at a position where we're talking to distributors worldwide. We're talking to brand owners worldwide. We have speccing conversations already happening across the board in Asia, in Europe, and the US, where we're really driving commercial progress. There's obviously in relationship to new to the world, so fast mover, very innovative companies, they're already working with us, and I hope to see many more coming to speak with us so we can build more relationships after in-cosmetics Asia. Hopefully everyone is convinced about the benefits that we're bringing. Now, the way you can work with us is we're always trying not to be the barrier in that. We're trying to be as flexible as possible. So we're offering off-the-shelf, ready-to-use ingredients, right? Artrazyme and Smart Aero are available off-the-shelf. You place an order, we ship. We have standard pricing. For bulk orders, we might be able to do a discounting strategy, but that's ready to go. Licensing and supply. That is obviously where some clients would require something unique, an adjustment in the formulation, an adjustment in levels, adjustments in different areas, and we can do that, and we can keep that exclusive for that particular client in return for some terms and conditions. So we can do custom development. And then the last one, which makes us pretty unique, and it's fully off the back of our in-house platform technology and the fact that we are the inventors, the developers, and then the scalers of the technology, we can create something truly unique. So we are already in conversations with large multinational companies that come to us and say, can you target a different bacteria? Can you not do Staphylococcus hominis? Can you not do Cutibacterium? But can you do something for other personal care applications? Scalp, intimate hygiene, maybe some other skin conditions. Maybe if it's not the skin, maybe it's for fabric care or something else. And the answer is always yes. As long as it's a gram-positive bacteria, we can do developments. We can also do gram-negative bacteria. That just takes a little bit more time. But we are in the midst of co-development projects where we do R&D as a service to customize our proteins for new applications, and then obviously under the right terms and conditions, make that available to the requester and the client that wanted that new application to be brought to the market. So you can choose. You can buy what's available. We can fine-tune on the licensing conditions, and we can develop something totally breakthrough, maybe next year, in-cosmetics award winner, but then unique and specifically for you as a client. And that's us, right? We're here to create what is the future of a more precise microbiome management. We believe in an active world. We believe in a precise, cruelty-free world. We don't believe in harsh chemicals that cause more issues than they fix. So join us on our journey. We're winning awards right now, but we truly want to work with all of you guys in creating impact in markets. Looking forward to do more discussions. We're still here until the end of today, so thanks so much, and I guess we can take some questions.
We're on the mic, so raise your hand if you have any questions.
Yeah, fascinating technology. Is the reason you have 4 ingredients because the protein is incompatible with other ingredients, or is it just because you don't need those other ingredients?
You don't need.
I think the right answer I can give is we don't need the other ones anymore. There is something that I also cannot disagree with what you mentioned, is because proteins by nature are not compatible with every chemical you would find, right? So the proteins that we have, they need to stay folded. We cannot denature them. If you would put them under extreme conditions or in context of non-ionic surfactants, you would kind of disassemble the protein and the activity would be gone. But the reason why you see 4 is we deliver better results with those 4 ingredients, and we don't need the other ones anymore.
Thank you.
I'll proactively answer a question that was not asked. Email me with your purchase orders.